Hello students, welcome to your channel. Please like, share and subscribe your own channel, School Studies. School Studies is pleased to announce the launch of our educational website, Patel Section. After years of hard work and dedication, we are delighted to officially announce the launch. Today we will see a video related to NCERT solution for class 10 History, Social Science, Chapter 5, Print Culture and the Modern World. So let's solve textbook exercise. The first question, give reason for the following. Wood block print only came to Europe after 1295. So Marco Polo, the Italian explorer, visited China and learned the technology of wood block printing. When he returned to Italy in 1295, he brought this knowledge back with him. Gradually, this knowledge spread from Italy to other parts of Europe. Next, Martin Luther was in favor of print and spoke out in praise of it. In 1517, Martin Luther, the religious reformer, wrote 1905 theses that criticized the corrupt practices of Catholic Church and pasted this on the church door in Wittenberg. Very soon, the thousands of copies of Luther's theses were printed, spreading his ideas among people. Martin Luther was deeply moved by realizing the power of printing, which brought about the Reformation movement and the eventual birth of Protestantism. Next, the Roman Catholic Church began keeping an index of prohibited books from the mid-16th century. Print and the popular literature encouraged many distinctive interpretations of religious faiths and ideas. In 16th century, Monacchio, a ruler in Italy, began to read books available readily in his locality. He gave a new interpretations of the Bible and formulated a view of God and creation that enraged the Roman Catholic Church. As a result, Monacchio was hauled up twice and ultimately executed when the Roman Catholic Church began in accusation. Next, Gandhiji said that fight for Swaraj is a fight for the liberty of speech, liberty of press and the freedom of association. Mahatma Gandhi said these words in 1922 when the non-cooperation movement. During the non-cooperation movement, according to him, without the liberty of speech, the liberty of press and the freedom of association, no nation can even survive. If the country was to get free from foreign domination, then these liberties were quite important. Next, write a short notes on what you know about the Gutenberg Press. The Gutenberg Press was the first printing press of Europe. It was invented by Johannes Gutenberg of Strasbourg. He grew up in a large agriculture estate and had knowledge and experience in operating olive and wine presses. He invented the printing press around in the year 1448, with the Bible being the first book to be printed. Next, Erasmus' idea of printing book. Erasmus, the Latin scholar, was not happy with the printing of books because he was afraid that this would lead to the circulation of books with the rebellious ideas. He felt that although a few books may give useful information, the majority of books may just be irrelevant or illogically, through which scandalous of irreligious ideas will spread, ultimately leading to incitement of rebellion. The Vernacular Press Act. The Vernacular Press Act was passed in 1878 by the British government in India. This act provided the government with the extensive rights to censor reports and editorial in the vernacular press. If the vernacular paper published by seditious material, the paper was banned and its printing machinery was seized and destroyed. Next, what did the spread of a print culture in the 19th century India mean to women? Women became important as a reader and writer. Reading habits improved among them. With an increase in literacy, women took great interest in reading and writing. Many journals started emphasizing the importance of women's education. Many magazines and books were especially published for women. The print culture gave women some amount of freedom to read and develop their own views on various issues, especially those related to women. Next, what it mean to the poor. As the literacy rate improved in Europe as well as in India, printed material, especially for entertainment, began to reach even the poor. The England penny magazines were carried by peddlers and sold for a penny, so that even poor people could buy them. Those who could not read could listen to the stories and folklore. These stories and folklore could be read out on them by to them by others. Books could be hired on a nominal fee from some book owners. Even in India, very cheap small books were brought to the market in 19th century Madras towns, which allowed poor people to have access to print culture. Next, what it mean to the reformers? Reformers used newspapers, journals, and books to highlight the social evil prevailing in the society. Raja Ram Mohan Roy published the Samvat Kumudi to highlight the filth of widows. From the 1860s, many Bengali women writers like Kailash Bhansani Devi wrote books highlighting the experiences of women, about how women were imprisoned at home, kept in ignorance, forced to do hard domestic labor, and were treated unjustly by the menfolk they served. Why did some people in the 19th 18th century Europe think that culture will bring enlightenment and end despotism? The spreading of new ideas about coming of printing culture, the ideas of scientists and philosophers now became more accessible to the common people. Ancient and medieval scientific texts were compiled and published. Books as medium of progress. By the 18th century, books became a medium of spreading process and enlightenment which could change society and the world. It was also believed that books could liberate society from despotism and tyranny. Writings of scholars, the print writings of thinkers such as Jacques Rousseau, Thomas Paine, and Voltaire were also widely printed and could gain popularity. Their ideas about science, rationality, and reasoning found their way into popular literature. Scientific discoveries, maps, and more accurate scientific diagrams were widely printed when scientists like Isaac Newton began to publish their discoveries. They could influence a much wider circle of scientifically minded readers. Why did some people fear the effect of easily available printed books? Choose one example from Europe and one from India. So, some people, especially from the upper class, fear the effects of easily available printed books due to the spread of literacy among the common people. They fear that they might lose their positions and authorities. Some people thought that it might lead to the spread of rebellions and irreligious thought. For example, in Europe, the Roman Catholic Church tried to curb the printed books through the Index of Prohibited Books. In India, the Vernacular Press Act imposed restrictions on Indian press and various local newspapers. What were the effects of the spread of print culture for poor people in 19th century India? Public libraries were set up from the early 20th century, expanding access to books. These libraries were located mostly in cities and towns and at the times of prosperous villages. For rich local patrons, setting up a library was a way of acquiring prestige. From the late 19th century, issues of caste discriminations were written about in many printed tracts and essays. Jyotiba Phule, the Maratha prisoner of low caste protest movements, wrote about the injustice of the caste system in his Gulamgiri. In the 20th century, B.R. Ambedkar in Maharashtra and E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar in Madras wrote powerfully on caste, and their writings were read by people all over India. Local protest movements and sects were created a lot of popular journals and tracts criticizing ancient scriptures and envisioning a new and just future. At the very least, it made poorer people aware of their rights and their place in society, and print media showed the way in which they can improve their lot in life. Explain how print culture assisted in the growth of nationalism in India. So these are the following ways where the nationalism in India rise. So by the end of the 19th century, a large number of newspapers in India, vernacular languages were published, making it easier to the circumvent the language barriers among the various ethnic groups of Indians. This newspaper published articles written by national leaders. The ideas were communicated to the masses through this newspaper. The people of different communities and places were thus connected by print media. Newspaper conveyed news from one place to another, creating a pan-Indian identity. The nationalist newspapers exposed the colonial misrule and encouraged nationalist activities. As these were written in spoken languages of various regions, the common man could easily understand the content. For example, when Punjab revolutionaries were deported in 1907, Bal Gangadhar Tilak wrote articles sympathizing with them. He was arrested, which provoked protest from the masses. This was chapter 5 of NCERT solution for class 10 history. I hope you liked my video. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you. Please leave comment, question or doubts in comment section if you have any, or you can drop a mail to us. You will find my email ID at the end of this video. You can also join us on Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, connect us on LinkedIn or tweet us on Twitter. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you.